Welcome back, Year 8, to your next lesson on the Great War. Today, we're going to be looking at the short-term causes of the First World War. So last session, we looked at some of the long-term causes. You should be, hopefully, thinking about this lesson today. You should be thinking about the state of Europe at this time. What was Europe like? What were some of the problems that were going on in Europe at this time? And ultimately, what could lead to the First World War? What could turn such an unstable situation into the war that we learn about today? Today's lesson is going to be about this man called Franz Ferdinand, okay? And he was an archduke. So lesson objectives: who was he? Why was he murdered, and what were the effects of his murder? Okay. So, detectives in films always have an initial hunch. Okay. Whenever detectives are presented with a crime that needs solving, or an issue or a puzzle that needs resolving, they always have their first initial gut feeling or gut reaction. So what do you think your hunch is? Okay, maybe you know a little bit about it. Perhaps you've been doing your research between lessons. Perhaps you know who he is and why he was murdered. But, okay, what I want you to do now is we need to stop as your start activity and think, okay, why? Who was he? Who do you think he might be? Okay, and ultimately, why do you think he was murdered? Make a list as well of the kind of questions that you need to ask. Okay, make a list of the questions that you need to ask in order to figure out who this man was and why he was murdered. Okay, right. Once you've done that, so pause here. Once you've done that, restart and carry on. So I'm not sure if these are any of the kind of questions that you got. Okay, but here, if you didn't get any of these questions down, if you got one or two of them, brilliant. If you didn't, okay, it's well worth making a note of these questions, because you're going to be answering them as you go through, okay, this slideshow. So have these questions next to you, either print them out or write them on a piece of paper, but you're going to need to refer to them and answer to them as you go. So these are the questions that we will be trying to answer in today's session. So who were the victims? Who was the murderer? Was the murderer by himself? What was the murder weapon? So what is strange about Princip's accounts of his actions? Bit of a mystery then. Who do you think this man might be? Why was there tension in this region? You should know this already from last session. You should know why there was such tension in Europe at this time. What motive would Princip have for killing? Or we've got a kind of 7 gives away, bit of a giveaway with some of these earlier questions. Who should ultimately be blamed, and what action should be taken? So make sure you've got these handy. Pause here if you need to write them down or print them off. So, chain of events leading to the First World War in 1914. So, 28th of June 1914, Gavrilo Princip shoots Archduke Franz Ferdinand. Okay, now these chain of events, it's well worth you having a copy of them yourself. Either write them down or print them off. Either way, yeah, glue them in your books. It's up to you. You need a copy of these. However you want to do it, it's up to you. On the 28th of July, so a month later, Austria-Hungary blames Serbia and declare war on it. That's interesting. Why do you think Serbia got blamed? Why are they blamed? Okay. Who are Austria-Hungary? Why are they blaming Serbia? For what? For who and why? So a day later, Russia prepares its armies to help Serbia against Austria-Hungary. 1st of August, Germany declares war on Russia due to the Triple Alliance. Again, you should know all about this. This was last week's lesson. 3rd of August, Germany declares war on France and begins invading. 4th of August, Britain declares war on Germany. And finally, Austria-Hungary declares war on Russia. So what we've got here, this is the powder keg that was Europe at the time. It was the house of cards. And with everything falling down and collapsing and falling apart, falling bit by bit, yeah? Think about what Europe was like at that time. Think of the state it was in. There were these two alliances, yeah? Everyone had faced off against each other. And, you know, all it takes is just one of the countries to declare war on another one of the countries, and you are essentially left with this very, very difficult situation, which is essentially what happened. Okay, so write down the 3 observations about these victims. Okay. So we've got here these 2 people in their fabulous hats. This guy definitely looks important. That is a very important moustache, that, isn't it? And quite the pair of hats. Yeah, and she's even got some flowers. Someone's given her flowers. She's that important. She gets flowers. So here we have our first 2 victims. This man, Franz Ferdinand, and his wife, Sophie. You need to know who this man was. Yeah. And I mean, Sophie, bless her, she's important because obviously she's his wife, but it's this man here who is the key issue here in this, yeah? So he was the heir to the throne of Austria-Hungary, all right? So he was the next in line to be the next ruler of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, all right? So quite an important man. He wasn't the ruler at the time, but the man who was in charge, was very elderly and not far off dying, okay? And so this man, Franz Ferdinand, was probably only months away from becoming the ruler of this quite a large and powerful empire. And sadly, this is that fabulous jacket. Look at this gorgeous, fabulous jacket this man's got here with his, he's got some serious lapel action going on, okay? And sadly, that is the state of the jacket, okay? Look at it, all right? That is blood, yeah, where he's been shot to pieces. So, the victims were Franz Ferdinand's wife, Sophie. He was the heir to Australian and Hungarian throne. Okay. This is a witness statement. So a man called Kabrinovich took the bomb from his pocket coat, struck the bomb's percussion cap against a lamppost. Okay, that is quite cool. Yeah, if you're going to set off a bomb, banging it against the lamppost is a cool way of doing it. He took aim and threw the bomb at them. And this is a passerby. There's the bomb. Look at it. There's the bomb. The bomb glanced off Ferdinand's arm, bounced off the folded car top and onto the street behind him. The car sped off. So initially, there is an initial attempt on Franz Ferdinand's life, okay, which they managed to survive with only a banged arm and nobody hurt. However, this is the murder weapon, a Browning model 1900, which was quite a modern piece of equipment at this time. It was a military sidearm, yeah, used by armies. Okay, now what might that tell you about the assassin? Yeah, why is he carrying a military weapon? Okay, could he be a soldier? Okay, what else could this tell you about the kind of why he's carrying a military weapon? A confession from a Gavrilo Princip. I drew the revolver and raised it against the automobile without aiming. I even turned my head as I shot. Now, if you suggested that him carrying this weapon made him a soldier, does this sound like the kind of behavior a trained soldier might have? Surely a trained soldier would be used to shooting pistols. okay, particularly one that was issued to him that he was trained with. This doesn't sound like he's particularly well trained, if you ask me. Yeah, might not even. It sounds like he's never shot a pistol in his life. I let go 2 shots, one after the other, but I'm not certain whether I shot twice or more often because I was so excited. Okay, and I don't think it was excited as in like a birthday cake kind of excited, yeah, not Christmas morning excited, but excited in the fact that he was probably, his adrenaline was going, yeah, and he was quite nervous, I should imagine. And this is a confession from the man himself. Here he is, Gavrilo Princip. Again, doesn't look like a soldier. So what might that tell you about, okay, who or what provided them these weapons? If he wasn't a soldier, okay, then why is he carrying a soldier's weapon? This is an artistic impression. So we've got Gavrilo Princip in a rather fabulous, in fact, everyone's got fabulous hats here. Fabulous hat, a particularly cool hat. He's got, the driver's got a cool hat. Yeah, Sophie's got she's rocking her cool. Everyone, this is the fabulous hat murder. Okay, as we can see here, the artistic impression. Maybe the artist has taken license and given everyone cool hats, or maybe they actually had cool hats. But we can definitely see everyone's getting shot up here by Gavrilo in his hat and his cool jacket. Here's the actual car. Okay, back then cars weren't the bulletproof gun cars that perhaps presidents or country rulers might have now. Although this was a nice car at the time, unfortunately back then they were quite basic. This one couldn't even go in reverse, which we'll find out a little bit later was a bit of an issue. So now, time for you to stop and reflect. Okay, right, thinking about your initial hunch that you had at the start. Yeah, how much more information have we got now? Why do you think, okay, so we now know who got murdered and by who, but why? Why do you think at this stage Franz Ferdinand might have been murdered? Yeah, who do you think Gavrilo Princip was? Where does he come from? Where is he getting his gear from? So at this stage, try and answer some of these questions. Pause this video right now and do your best to answer a few of these questions. Once you've answered the ones that you can, move on. So this is a map. Okay. This is a map. This is the route taken by Franz Ferdinand in his car. So what initially do you think this might tell us? Okay. If you watched Dan Snow's introductory video before looking at this PowerPoint, then you will know more about this map. Yeah. Okay, so we've got here the positions of the Sarajevo assassins. Oh, Sarajevo. What's Sarajevo? Okay, if you need to find out what Sarajevo is, pause here and then go and look it up and come back. Okay, so we've got Kabrinovic is number 2. So he's the man who was throwing bombs around. We've got, there's Princip, yeah, at number 5. These are everyone else. There's Kabrinovic's bomb. This is where ultimately Princip shot everybody up. Okay, this is the route taken to the city hall. This is the originally intended return route. Okay, but this is the altered return route. Okay, again, pause here, copy a sketch of this map in your books, okay, or print it off and glue it in. So, what's Sarajevo? Where is it? Well, here it is. If this is here, look, you should recognize what this is. If you don't know what this is, then by all means, pause this, go away, email Miss Evans and find out what this strange looking blob here, okay, is. Hopefully you do know. Yeah, we've got Spain, we've got France, Germany, Italy down here. So this is the Austro-Hungarian Empire. This is ultimately where, okay, this whole business took place. This is a focus on the region here. So we've got Germany, Italy, Russia up there. Serbia, okay, oh, there's Sarajevo. Okay, we've got Budapest, but this is ultimately where it all happened, this tiny little area, this region here. Okay, on the 6th of October 1908, Austro-Hungary took over Bosnia, okay, which is here, and Herzegovina. Bosnia was made up of different cultures. One of these cultures of the ethnic Serbs. So we're starting to understand things here. We've got Serbs here. There's Serbia, but there are Serbs actually living in Bosnia and Herzegovina. Okay, so now start to think who's this man was and why do you think he might have tried to assassinate the Archduke? The Black Hand Gang. Okay, so we've got some more information to help us now with our initial murder inquiries. The Black Hand Gang were a terrorist organization based in Serbia. Okay, so we've got little Serbia here. So the Black Hand, they wanted to form a greater Serbia where all Serbs could live. Gavrilo Princip and all his friends were members of the Black Hand Gang, and they had planned the assassination of Franz Ferdinand because they wanted Bosnia and Herzegovina to join Serbia. They all wanted to be one greater Serbian country, okay, because they had shared cultural and ethnic backgrounds. And so the Black Hand Gang wanted a united, greater Serbia. This is a statement from the Austro-Hungarian Empire. So Franz Josef, now where have we seen this word before? Okay, thinking back to this video, thinking back to this PowerPoint, have you, if you've been paying attention, seen these words before? Okay, pause, go back and try and find out. All right, and then unpause. So Austro-Hungarian's emperor at the time, the man who was actually in charge, was quite an elderly fellow. This is his statement on the actual issue itself. The bloody deed was not the work of a single individual, but was a well-organized plot. There can be no doubt that its policy of uniting all southern Slavs under the Serbian flag encourages such crimes, and the continuation of this situation is a chronic peril for my house and my territories. So ultimately his family and the territories of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. My efforts must be directed to isolating Serbia and reducing its size. What do you think this means? Thinking about this particular, what's he saying here? What do you think this is planning? What's he going to be planning at this stage? What do you think his plan is? So Franz Josef blamed the assassination on Serbia. Does the evidence answer these two questions? Does the evidence support this, and why would he be so keen to blame Serbia? So pause this video and answer these two questions, thinking about what you now know so far. The bloody deed was not the work of a single individual, but a well-organized plot. So you should be able to now answer all the questions. Okay, you should be able to answer all these questions in your books or on paper. Okay, so pause this video, answer these questions. So these next couple of slides, you can either use the worksheet provided, or you can print these ones off to help you fill it in. Okay, hope you've enjoyed this video and are looking forward to next week's session.